Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so I want to sound off about the Lakers, man. Just let it fly. I'm not really sure what I'm gonna say. I'm really frustrated with my team and how we've been performing over the last month and a half or so. I think that March is one of the toughest months that we're gonna have on this schedule. Some of the more tougher teams that we're gonna see in clusters is coming up. And February was supposed to be, a homestand. Even though we had some tough teams, it was supposed to be a stretch where you could say, okay, we're going to lick our wounds after having an 8-game road trip. Kind of, expected to probably go 5-3. We went 4-4. And now we got a soft part of our schedule coming up, so I think we could find ourselves potentially winning some games. Maybe the next, 3 of our next 4 games, I think, are winnable basketball games. And what ends up happening in that situation is people will say, okay, the Lakers are back on track. Hopefully it does pan out that way, but I'm already getting ahead of that and saying if the Lakers do win the next 3 out of 4 games, I'm going to be looking at it just like I did the Dallas game. I was not happy after the Dallas win. We were dancing around, we were jumping around and prancing, and I just felt like it was just indicative of a team that front runs, a team that when they have a team they can beat up on, they beat them up. When they run into a team that's as good as them or better than them, they fold like a lawn chair. And at this point, it just irritated the heck out of me right before the All-Star break. Our attitude at the end of that Dallas game, like we had won a championship, people were praising the Lakers and all that. I wasn't buying, and I was irritated by the presence of it. And what I saw coming is what it is we've ultimately seen since. We've won 1 game in our last 5 games in that regard. Since that moment, I think, one of our last 4 rather. So, at this point, it's like I ready to tell people that my belief in what we have is not working. I think it could. I think there are options that we could kind of opt into that may give us a dynamic, put some energy on the floor, put a little more two-way ability on the floor, but maybe take away from the experience of the unit we're using. And I've been suggesting that on this channel for half a season now. I do think that guys like Chris Magnon, Adu Thero, Drew Timme, players that the Lakers haven't as an option to use. Nick Smith has had some good games this year. Obviously, we brought up, Kobe Buffkin, gave him a roster spot, but are not using him. I would love to swap out some of these guys that are not reliable and to see what these guys can do, because Magnon is a two-way wing, comparable size to most small forwards. Adu Thero is a hyper-athletic power forward dude that moves laterally very well. Catch lobs, probably plays well with Luka in theory. You know what I mean? And Drew Timme's a pure scorer at the center spot, power forward spot that I've yet to see somebody lock down. He tends to score from wherever you give the ball to him. It's like these are options that we're not using, and we're living and dying with what it is that we are using, and we're dying doing it. And I just have been on that train now for at least 3 months. I just don't understand why a team that has the deficiencies we have with two-way talent would allow rookies who have two-way ability to not be a part of their plan for the season. And then I look over at some of the rookies in other situations. Guy like Con Knipple just shattered the three-point record. He's hit more threes than any other rookie in the history of the NBA in 53 games. 53 games. So it's like, you're trying to tell me that rookies can't contribute? Or is it just a overall philosophy that our team has that's limiting our ability to put the stuff on the floor that ultimately best complements our roster? And I think it's the latter, you guys. I think a lot of fans are asking the Lakers to put Adu Thero in regular rotation specifically. And we haven't seen much of him at all. Now, I know he went down with an injury that ate up most of his season, and he's back now. He's looking good in the G. Maybe we'll call him up. But then it becomes a situation where, yeah, we can call him up. But just like we put Kobe Buffkin in the lineup, if a coach is not going to play him, that's a whole nother hurdle to seeing the player on the floor. And this is why I'm at a point with JJ Redick where I'm like, yo, man, I'm at a point where I think he's making a bad situation worse, because he's limiting us, just like Darvin did, to certain things. Now, maybe that's an organizational decision to do minutes mentality, as we talk about all the time, where we play players not for basketball reasons, but for contractual reasons and political reasons. But at the end of the day, if you're going to lose doing that, and the object of the game is to win, and you see public sentiment, Laker fan sentiment is starting to plummet. People are talking about they checking out in the season when there's a whole month and a half left to play. You understand that you should probably do something that's going to instill some life in this franchise. And for no other reason, that should be why you play some of these young guys. That should be why you bench some of these dudes that have proven themselves to struggle. I think desperate decisions are good decisions for teams that are suffering what we're suffering right now, who happen to also have such high expectations, particularly pouring so much money into their trio. You know, and look, I've been listening to a lot of people this morning. I listened to 3 or 4 different talking heads this morning talk about the Lakers and what they thought of the trio that the Lakers have down there, LeBron, Austin, and Luka. And if I'm being honest with you, it's hard not to agree with some of these talking heads who are saying our future is not with those 3. Austin and Luka defensively left a lot to be desired last night against fast-footed guys who could shoot the ball. That was something Jason Timpf pointed out on 2 different programs that I watched with him on. If we are relying upon Austin and Luka, there are going to be matchups where we run into in the playoffs where this dynamic that Phoenix put on the floor is going to be up against us, and we're going to be at a severe disadvantage. Now, my solution would be probably bringing in a hyperactive set of shot blockers. That's my personal solution. You bring in and I'm not saying this is the easiest thing to do, but you bring in a Jared Allen and a Peyton Watson, and that should help solidify the rim protection necessary and the length necessary to maybe help patch up a severe deficiency with those 2 trying to defend. But they're still going to leave people open from behind the arc. I don't know that you can really do that. Maybe you luck up and find yourself a Jaden McDaniels on top of that. Now you have a situation where potentially you might be able to mitigate, if that's the right word, or kind of fend off some of those deficiencies that Luka and Austin provide on the defensive end. But if you're going to give Austin and Luka $200 million a piece to be what happens going forward, if you don't find your Peyton Watson, Jared Allen, and Jaden McDaniels, you're not going to win anything. I like Austin a lot, but my vision for Austin has nothing to do with Luka Doncic. I like Luka a lot, but I don't think his best second running mate is an Austin Reeves prototype. Now, LeBron James, you know, he's in a space where he's having his worst season. I think part of it is father time. I think another part of it is usage and trying to fit in with the role and trying not to do too much. The 3-point shot isn't falling, so that's definitely eating away at his potential to score. I think some of it's psychological in the sense that he's just being asked to do less, and it's probably eating away at his desire to do more. All of that comes together to try to find some sweet medium to be who his team needs him to be, knowing that the team ain't good enough to win. It just becomes a situation where, just like Ayton said, you're asking to be somebody I'm not. And while I got frustrated with Ayton's point of view, I didn't lose sight of what it is that he said is true. We need him to be more like a Clint Capella guy who doesn't need a whole lot of shots. He's more of a go-to scorer guy who really needs a lot of looks, whether he's going to be efficient or not, night in and night out. If you're going to get the most out of Ayton, you're asking him to be a scorer. So it's like you're asking people to be something they're not supposed to be for a team that's not good enough when they do so. It just eats away at the morale of the squad, and I think that those dynamics are only limitations because of what our coach's limitations are and what it is that his schemes are, what it is that he ultimately needs from his players. I don't think this is a problem that every coach has. I think this is a problem that JJ has. And so I think LeBron is kind of checked out in some ways. I think Ayton is checked out. He's losing Jake LaRavia, in my opinion. You demote this guy to the bench. He's checking out. Dalton Connect has proven he's checked out a long time ago. You just got too many guys on this team that are checked out, man. And it's a lot of pressure that comes with being a Laker. I look at what Luka did in that Orlando game where he pump faked a 3-point shot that would have won the game. It's pressure. I don't know that that's the same thing he's going to do if he's still playing for the Dallas Mavericks. I think he lets that ball fly. But being a Laker and the pressure that comes with being the reason LeBron James lost a game, being the reason the Lakers organization loses a game, I think that pressure is a little much for even Luka the Don. And that brings me to a space that's a bit hopeless in my mind, to where, is anybody fit to wear the uniform as a superstar, really? Or is it just too much? Is the dynamic where we allow our superstars to be punching bags for the media? You know, is that making it so that nobody is able to withstand this Laker thing? You know what I'm saying? Who's strong enough to withstand being a punching bag for the media and the pressures of trying to fulfill the big shoes of what the Laker lore is all about? 17 NBA championships, Kareem, Kobe, Shaq, Magic, Jerry West, Worthy, Powell, all these people that have worn the uniform and won. I just think at this point, people would rather go to the Raptors or something like that and just play without all the hoopla, without all the expectations, to be able to be a bit freer. And when they lose, as JJ mentioned, it's a bit quieter. I just think maybe the Laker spotlight has just gotten too bright for even a great star like Luka Doncic. Maybe a guy like that even starts second guessing himself when it's time. You know, Kobe was a different beast. Obviously, he was wired a certain way. Guys like Michael Jordan wired a certain way. But how many of them people actually exist right now? And as you know, if Luka Doncic and all his talent and all his killer instinct is somewhat cowering in the presence of that pressure, who the hell can we put in this uniform that's going to actually be able to perform for us? And so that's what another thing that came to mind for me is like, you know, this is the second game I've pointed out where Luka didn't want to take the big shot. The first game that he had that problem was like 7 games ago or something like that. He didn't take the shot because I think he thought a trailer was behind him that could have blocked the shot. This one, he didn't have necessarily that dynamic. And although I don't know what he saw out there, at the end of the day, he certainly pump faked the game-winning shot. Passed a grenade off to LeBron James. Bron missed it. Last night, we didn't even get Luka to look. We gave it to Austin in a shot that I think he can make, but like, it didn't go. Luka doesn't get the game-winning shot. I mean, how many different teams do you think that dynamic's going to take place? You think he's going to take this game-winning shot if he played for the Raptors? You think he takes the game-winning shot if he was back with the Mavs? Of course he's going to take that shot, and that's the point. Not many teams and not many coaches are going to draw up a play for a 3-point shot that doesn't involve Luka Doncic taking the final shot. Did JJ lose confidence in Luka after that Orlando performance and decided to draw up the play for Austin instead of Luka because of it? I don't know, but I'm at a point where I don't know what JJ's doing. You know, a lot of people pointed out that final play defensively where we had our offensive players on the floor for a performance, a play where defense was required. We didn't sub in any defensive players. Now, things can switch right away, and the last thing you want is them deficient defensive players coming up with the stop and messing up the last shot. But it's the same dynamic if you leave those deficient offensive players on the floor for the defensive play and they don't get the stop. And that's exactly what happened. I've heard the argument that a lot of people have made that Luka and Austin shouldn't even been on the floor if you damn need a stop in that situation. Why wasn't Luke Kennard on the floor for the last second shot when Austin Reeves took the shot against the Phoenix Suns? When you need a 3-point shot to tie the game, you got arguably the best percentage 3-point shooter in basketball on your roster. You're a shooter historically as a coach, a great shooter. Why don't you trust Luke Kennard? Why isn't Luke Kennard on the floor to provide more spacing, more of a threat for the offense to have to guard from behind the arc? I don't. Maybe there's an answer for that. Maybe there's a technical answer for that. But a layman can ask that question. And so that's what I'm at. Why the hell wasn't Luke Kennard on the floor for that play? Why were our defensive players not on the floor for the defensive play? Why wasn't the shot drawn up for Luka Doncic? He's supposed to be our number one option. You know what I'm saying? It's just a lot of stuff going on. And the Lakers went out on a limb, man, and they wanted to make LeBron happy. They brought in J.J. Redick. Great J.J. is a smart mind. He impressed all of us, an old man in the three. I was really excited about what he could do from a schematic standpoint. I have not seen anything that makes me excited about him since he's been here. Not at all. And as frustrated as I was with Darvin Ham was able to get us to the Western Conference Finals. I don't know that J.J. Redick has the capability of getting us to the Western Conference Finals. And it's getting to a point where we have to start being honest about that. We did win the play-in tournament with Darvin Ham. As ugly as it looked, and as frustrating as it was, as much politics and stupidity that was going on out there, the results were we were winning games that right now we're struggling to win. We did beat some playoff teams with Darvin. We ain't beaten hardly any playoff teams with JJ. Different dynamic, no Anthony Davis, insert Luka Doncic. It doesn't fit. All of that is real. The nuances matter. I'm just being a layman here, and I'm saying stuff what I think people may be thinking if they don't understand a whole lot. And I think it's legitimate to ask even when you do. Are we really better off right now? Because like I said, I see things that could potentially be solutions that we're just afraid to try or politically inclined not to go with and are willing to die with the politics. Just like Darvin Ham. And I noticed the Lakers, and it's a big platform, and everybody's watching us, so that's a lot. It holds a lot of value. And when it comes to leverage, people who are most valuable tend to have the leverage to demand the most important stuff. And this is the world we're in. I get that. But if your object of the game is to win basketball games, and the best way to do that, in order for guys to be on the floor with what they need, is to maybe bench some people that you otherwise would have to be inclined to play or start. At some point in time, you got to look at these fans and say, you know what? The truth is, we don't give a shit about what y'all think. Y'all pay for whoever we put in this uniform. Behind the scenes, this is what matters. Our politics is what matters. And we're going to live and die with those politics. And if you don't like the results of that, too bad, because we're taking your money anyway. Because that's the truth. Now, Laker fans, I understand that you may be able to win with Adu Thero as a starter. But truth of the matter is, we've already paid so-and-so this amount of money. And so we're going to start him. And if we lose the game, that's just something we're comfortable with. Because, well, quite honestly, what matters is our politics. Not your interest in us winning basketball games. You know what I mean? I want to live in a world where people tell me stuff like that. As a fan, hey, yo, you don't matter that much. Just keep giving us your money. We're going to put in the uniform who we want in the uniform. We're going to put in the uniform the people that you understand are stars, whether they can compete or not. Because we know that's going to con you into continuing to pay for these products. Because if we put these no-name guys out there, we may be winning, but we don't think you're going to watch. So we're going to make sure our starters are on the floor with the biggest names, whether they can play or not. And we're going to win and lose with that. And then we're going to tell you all that we didn't have any other choices. That's the truth. Forget you know that Adu Thero's on this team. Forget you've seen glimpses of Chris Magnon out there in the G League. Forget that we have Nick Smith, who helped you win 2 basketball games throughout the course of the start of the season. Those players do not exist. The only thing we have is what it is you see. What we present to you are the only options we have. These are the 10. That's it. We're going to live and die with them, and we're going to put the ones on the floor that have the most leverage, put the ones on the floor that you've heard of the most, and if they can't compete, then we couldn't compete. That's what I want to hear, because that's the truth. People are afraid to tell the truth, but they want us to live in a space where we're living the truth. They just don't want to use the rhetoric that backs it up. I'm tired of that. I'm tired of that on multiple fronts. If I got to live a certain way, I need to be able to talk a certain way that backs up what it is that I see. I'm walking around with black socks on. I don't need to tell people I'm walking around with green socks on when they clearly see me walking around with black socks on. I got black socks on. Why can't the rhetoric match the reality? And that's what I'm saying in regards to this team. And that's what I'm saying in regards to other things in this world. I want to live in a world where the rhetoric matches reality. I'm wearing a black shirt. That's what you see. I don't have to tell everybody I'm shirtless. You clearly see the black shirt. I'm not going to gain credibility by telling everybody the shirt is red. You all see it's black. So this is what's going on with the Lakers, man. Stop telling me I don't have other options. Stop telling me that the only options I have is running around with Luka, Bron, and Austin when those three don't fit. Sit one of them people, bring in a player that may not be as talented as them who can help me win, and bring one of them dudes off the bench like you're supposed to. Because the three don't fit. They play awful basketball as a combination of one another. They will agree. They don't fit. And you can ruin the chemistry of a team when you put people on the floor that don't fit with one another and they start losing because of it. You can ruin the chemistry. You know, at the end of the game yesterday, LeBron didn't even pick Luka up off the floor. I didn't like that. That spoke to something that I hadn't seen all season, and that was a disconnect between them two. I don't ever want to see a Laker leave another Laker on the floor for any circumstances, but especially at the end of a damn basketball game. Him and Marcus Smart walked away, left Luka on the ground. I'm not cool with none of that. I don't ever want to see anything like that again. If I'm being honest with you guys. That's against every bit of the ethics that I was taught as a basketball fan and as a player as a child. You get your man off the floor. Especially under circumstances where you've just lost. I don't like what's going on with this team, man, and there's no pride, man. There's no basketball pride right now. And we're supposed to be the most prestigious organization in the Western Conference. A lot of people believe we're the most prestigious organization in the league. Of course, the Celtics got something to say about that with more championships. But the point is, people who are representing my team right now, people who are in multiple layers of where we're at, aren't doing their job, and I know ownership is starting to push some new people in, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they about to do. Straight up, we got new scouting draft specialist. That's excellent. That's somebody who should have been in place 10 years ago. As bad as we've been doing consecutively in different drafts, you damn right it was about time we got a person like that. That should have been an investment we had in place a long time ago. Instead of having our GM drafting our players, to having the last say with the players being drafted, that should have never been the case. Bring new basketball business operator, that's great. I need us to continue to invest in this front office, man. But I think the people who are in place, who were made, who were put here under the old regime, need to start understanding. You better start delivering, JJ. You better start delivering. Because you were not the new regime's choice. And I don't think there's going to be a year 3 for JJ. If we don't have a good next 30 games, I think he's out of here. I do. I think he gets fired. I just don't think it's no purpose in going forward with him if he continues to fizzle the way he's been fizzling and his team continues to be lousy. And I understand it's not the easiest roster to use. I get that. But there are options that he hasn't explored. That's the problem. There have been options that he didn't explore. There are people that he should have tried that he didn't try. There are people that he benched, and that was the wrong psychological button to press with those people, and we lost those people. Dalton Connect. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do this with JJ anymore. If he can't get this team together at the end of this season, I want him out of here. And there's a lot of people, GM, same thing. I'm sorry. The team that you've been putting together, I know everything we have is limited, bro. And I know they said they're going to keep you for another year. I've been on your side the whole time. But this is yet another season where this roster is frustratingly lousy. Personalities lousy in a lot of cases on this team, bro. We are tired. And unfortunately, it's been you that's put together these teams. For better or for worse, limitations or flexibility. This is what you put together, and we are sick of it. Salute the Kobe minute. We're just tired of what we're seeing here, man. I don't even care how we got here. I don't care. And I think that's where we're at. I literally don't care. I understand that we made some good decisions. We found guys that we didn't even know were going to be available. We were able to do certain things. Some guys just didn't perform. We thought they were. All of those are reasons that make sense, that are valid, and my frustration does not care anymore, bro. I just don't care anymore. I want a team that I don't hate on the basketball floor, man. Can I be real with y'all? I want a team I don't hate. Last year's team I hated, bro. The year before that team I hated. And don't get me wrong, I love some of the players, but the collective unit and the coaching staff were irritating to me, man. There have been years where our team was no good that I was not irritated. I think of a year when we had young players like Alonzo Ball and Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart, Julius Randle. I didn't hate that team. The team couldn't win. They were worse than this team, but I had a good time with them. I didn't hate them. I didn't loathe watching basketball when they played. I knew they wasn't going to win, but they were fun to watch. Larry Nance Jr. I had fun with watching these people. You understand what I'm saying? They were kids. They won 30 games in the season, 36 games. And I was having a blast. Athleticism, young players going back and forth, opportunities to upset contenders at times. They did the best they could. It was fun. This is not fun. I'm watching guys who've made money in this league complain about the role that they have. It's as if they have some type of leverage to even stay in the league. You ain't even going to be here next year. Nobody's going to want you at all next year. Don't you know you're going to be in China next year? Complain about your role on this team? From what I understand, the Boston Celtics-Lakers game was one of the most watched NBA games of the season. Everybody watched us get annihilated by the Boston Celtics on a night where we're supposed to be celebrating Pat Riley. Everybody, the whole league, the whole world sphere of sports fans decided to tune into that Laker game. They probably watched no other Laker games, but they saw us get stomped out by Peyton Pritchard. Like, come on, man. Turn around the next night, Paolo, a struggling star, has one of his best games of the season against us. Turn around the very next game, and we're getting stomped out by Grayson Allen and Colin Gillespie. Like, I don't even care anymore. That's what it's become. I don't care anymore. I just want a team on the floor that wears my uniform that I am not embarrassed by, that doesn't feel like a drag when it's time to watch them. And however we got here over the last 5 years, each and every one of those teams have provided that dynamic. They're just a drag, bro. Honestly. Like, damn, here we go again. What is this guy gonna do? What Torian doing now? He's starting still. You know we losing every game he's starting, but we gonna start him anyway, right? Well, we got a three-headed monster point guard deficiency in shooting and situation going on. What's the small ball three-man? It was Schroeder, Patrick Beverly, and who was the other person? Was it Westbrook? Something like that. Just that was just the worst, the absolute worst season. We were getting killed by offensive rebounds, defensive rebounds every night. Team couldn't shoot. They were too small to really accomplish anything. We kept playing point guards at the small forward spot, point guards at the point guard spot, point guards at the shooting guard spot, and then undersized forwards at the center spot. And what else do we have? We had Westbrook and his just foolishness. Whole half season of absolute foolishness. We got 2.5 years of Cardi G and his nonsense, absolute and utter jogging around, doing absolutely nothing, continuing to get big minutes throughout the first half of this damn season. Like, I'm tired, y'all. Like, as a Laker fan, I hate all of that. I hated every season. Over the last 5 seasons, I've hated every last one of these damn seasons. I've hated all of them. I was listening to Jovan Buha say, well, you know, that one season was pretty good when we had Schroeder. No, I hated that season too. You know why? Because Montrezl Harrell was balling. Absolutely balling. And then we brought in Andre Drummond, who was struggling, absolutely struggling. And Montrezl Harrell got removed from our rotation. We inserted Drummond, and it was just bad after that. It was horrible after that. That team fizzled out like a thief in the night. That wasn't a good season. That season sucked. We had something that was working, we removed it, put in something that didn't, and stuck with it, and the team was trash ever since after that. Then came the Westbrook crap. First half of the season with Russell Westbrook, we made the trade, brought in Vando, D'Lo, however, who else did we bring in? Was it the Beverleys? I don't remember who the hell we made that trade for. I don't remember. But we brought in that team and got to the Western Conference Finals just to get knocked off by the Nuggets. Didn't have a damn chance against the Nuggets in the Western Conference Final. Came back the next year, got knocked off by the Nuggets again. Tired of this. I am tired. I don't care about none of this no more, man. Y'all have eaten away at my joy. I haven't felt this deflated about a basketball team since we had the likes of Robert Sacre and Kendall Marshall. You understand what I'm saying? Troy Murphy, Xavier Henry. Like, that was the last time I felt this bad about a Laker team. When we had a lineup like that. We had the likes of those type of people on the team, man. Brandon Bass. It's another name that I don't remember. This little dude. I can't never remember his name, man. He's a little shooting guard. He used to miss every damn three, every layup. We had him for 2 years. I don't remember what this dude's name was. Dark-skinned brother. I couldn't stand watching him play. He was such a scrub. He really was. I don't even remember his name, bro. This was before the Miami Heat shooting guard debacles. This is before we brought in Kendrick Nunn. There's another guy. I don't remember his name. But, like, it's been so many years, with the exception of the 2020 season where we won the NBA championship, which felt like 2 seasons because of just everything that happened, including the pandemic, Kobe's passing. It was so miserable. It was the most miserable championship you'll ever watch in your life. We won it in a bubble. People don't even give us credit for it. I haven't had fun watching this team since we had Lonzo Ball and Larry Nance and Julius Randle as kids. That was the last time I had a real good time. I don't think people really understand that about me. I didn't enjoy 2020. I was hurt. I was sad. You understand what I'm saying to you? A lot of people hark back on that 2020 championship. I didn't believe in that roster. I really didn't. I was surprised they won a championship. I thought that team was made up of a bunch of old people that couldn't play anymore, and it was. That's why we didn't bring it back the next season. I think I'm the only person that remembers that. Half of that team was washed to hell, man. A lot of people say, why didn't you bring back the 2020 team? Because they could not give us another season. Most of them people were done. So, this is where I'm at, man. This is where I'm at. I have Laker fatigue for real, bro. If I wasn't an absolute diehard fan, I would stop watching this. That's why I don't blame anybody who does. Because if you've watched as much of this as I have over the last 30 years, you understand that we are in a lull for no real purpose. We're not good enough to win. We're not bad enough to get AJ DeBonsta or Cam Boozer or Darren Peterson. Those players are going to probably our rivals. Probably Utah and OKC. Likely the way things are shaking out. I'm just at a point where I'm like, yo, man, can we get a legitimate center down here? Please, anybody, or if they're salt, want to play the center position for the Lakers? I'm just making a full-fledged call out to all of the centers in the league, all the 7-footers out there. Anybody want to play for my squad, man? Seriously, that's where we at. Anybody want to play for us? We just need somebody who's pretty good at this to play the center position. Just stand strong in the paint as a center. Anybody? Anybody. That's where we at. Because at this point, my team has set aside that center position for, 8 years now? How many years has it been since we had a legitimate center, honestly? Was it Anthony Davis don't count at all. He's not a center. He never was. But, when was the last time we had a real center, man? An actual center? There's been some guys, but not real centers. Not was it Bynum? Was Bynum the last real center we had? Maybe you want to say Drummond. Maybe you want to say Dwight. Probably Dwight. But I'm inclined to say Bynum, to be honest with you, because Dwight had his moments with the injury the first year. He left us, went to the Rockets, came back as a role player. He wasn't Dwight from Orlando. We didn't have that guy. What you want me to say, man? I just want a center on this basketball team that can sit down and sit in the chair and block some shots, rebound the ball, dunk the ball. If you can stretch the floor, that's icing on the cake. Just play the damn center role, bro. Not be a four that needs to play the center role like Anthony. But somebody who actually is a center, like somebody who wants to play the role, who should be asked to play the role, who makes the team better for playing the role. I just want a center on the team, bro. That's all I'm saying. Anybody? Video 44. I thank you all for watching. I'm out.